Hello, I'm Peyton, and today I'm going to be talking about events that have shaped the world of IO psychology, both in practice and research. Three of those events were the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the death of George Floyd in 2020, and as well as the president election of Joe Biden in 2020. Each of these events have shaped and pushed organizations to rethink how they approach people, work, equality, and fairness within the workplace. First up was the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. This forced millions of Americans and even parts of the world to go from working in person to working at home overnight. So this looked like everyone's now learning how to virtually meet, collaborate, and how to have a healthy work-life balance, which no one knew before because this has never happened within our lifetime. So organizations had to invest a lot in flexible scheduling, remote trainings, and enhancing their technologies to be able to best support their employees. This era created more opportunities for remote and hybrid work even to this day. Another major event within the U.S. was the death of George Floyd back in 2020. His death sparked nationwide protests and renewed attention on racial justice and equality within the workplace. In response, many organizations began taking a closer look at their diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, and many started implementing new trainings, revisiting recruitment and promotion processes while collecting data to better understand and improve the quality of work within the workplace. The final event I'm going to be talking about is the election of President Joe Biden in 2020. At the time that President Joe Biden was elected, he was 78 years old. And this sparked a lot of conversations within how old is too old to be working and if it's still productive at that age. His election brought an interest in research on age stereotyping and productivity within aging. In response, many organizations began exploring better ways to support their elder adults who are still working. This could include phased retirement plans, mentorships, and a more flexible schedule and able to better support their older employees. Recruiting has actually become closely related to the practice of IO psychology because the hiring decisions rely a lot on workplace behavior. If I were consulting for a university that wanted to create a higher applicant pool worth of more qualified employees and applicants, I would apply several evidence-based principles. First, I would recommend that the job description actually highlights what the job entails rather than subjective traits that might discourage the applicants or future applicants from applying. The posting should be inclusive, clearly written, and focused on measurable qualifications like teaching experience, research productivity, and required credentials. Second, I would broaden my recruitment processes by using internet-based platforms such as like LinkedIn, Higher Ed Jobs, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media websites that would be able to bring in good qualified applicants. It is also important to use networks that support historically underrepresented groups, like including the Hispanic Association of Colleges and using historically Black colleges and universities to create a diverse pool of applicants. I would also recommend using and hosting informational sessions like virtual open houses and faculty networking events to make sure that the university and or college feels more approachable to applicants so they would want to apply, and creating an inclusive atmosphere. These opportunities allow potential applicants to learn more about the culture, meet current faculty members that are already working there, and feel more confident in whether if they were going to pursue the role or not. One of the best ways to keep a newly hired, well-performing employee is to emphasize and help them manage their work-life balance. It is shown that having a good work-life balance will help the employee perform better within their job and within their work life and family life as well. To implement a good work-life balance, there's a few suggestions that I would start, and that would be to start implementing both organizational policies and supportive practices. The first thing I would suggest to do is just to have a conversation with the employee to see what they actually need, because a good work-life balance looks different for everybody. So for some people, it may be more flexibility. For some others, it might be more clarification around expectations. And others, it might just be having more benefits and within like hours and having a predictable schedule. So it could look different for everybody. Having a conversation about their needs, I think, will go a long way and that will show that to the employee that you care about. Next, I think the company should consider different benefits that might look attractive to the applicant. So this could be a flexible work environment, so working from home some days, like a hybrid schedule. Pay time off for sick days, personal days, and if their child gets sick, I think implementing days where you can take off if your child's sick would be very attractive to parents who are working in the workforce. Additional support like childcare, adoption assistance, and tuition reimbursement could look attractive to certain applicants. Putting these benefits into place, I think, will help reduce turnovers because employees and applicants are going to want to stay put in a company that helps them within their work life and their family. Along with remote work and benefits, I would emphasize the importance of a workload management. Those who typically are high performers tend to take on a lot more because they can handle it, but this can easily lead to overwork and overload. I would make sure that the workload is very manageable and realistic for each applicant because that could be different from each employee. I would encourage them to take PTO days, and I would encourage them to take breaks, as well as setting expectations that work stays at work and work does not have to go home with you. For employees to be able to use these benefits and leaving work at work, I think managers are the sole responsible ones to be able to showcase that. So managers taking PTO days and taking sick days is showcasing to the employee that it is okay to do these things, and we want you to do these things because it's going to be helpful for your work-life balance. By leading, for example, and making employees feel safe and practicing these things. When I look at job descriptions, especially in HR, they often overemphasize organizational citizenship behaviors. These traits are very helpful, but they are not always helpful in determining whether an applicant's going to be good at this job or if they are not going to be good at this job. A good example that I saw was the job description of a talent acquisition coordinator. Almost the entire first half of the job description listed personality and cultural fits rather than actual task components that would drive performance. Some of the personality traits that the job listed was being proactive, collaborative, being a detail-oriented person, and being quick on your feet and working in a team. So those were some of the personality traits that were listed in the job description. If I were consulting with this company, I would create a better balance between the OCBs and the actual expectations of the job. In the key responsibilities section of the job description, I would include measurable duties. For example, you'll be dealing with 30 applicants per month. You'll be hosting at least 2 interviews per week, something that is measurable so the applicant will know if they are an actual good fit for this specific job or not. I would reiterate that the talent acquisition coordinator needs to be able to manage candidate profiles, schedule interviews efficiently, maintain applicant tracking systems, and communicate with the hiring managers directly, as well as troubleshoot any processes that they might come encounter with. I would reword or remove the statements that, OCB statements, for example, removing anything that might say, must be extremely productive, must be always upbeat, or must be a natural problem solver, must be able to work in a team, things like that I would remove, and I would restate them with statements like manages multiple deadlines, demonstrates accuracy in data entry, things like that, so that the applicant knows what what they should be doing rather than just the personality traits that they should be having. These are still very important. All of the aspects are very important, but listing measurable duties will help narrow down the applicant. By rewording the applicant and job description to emphasize performance over personality, the organization is more likely going to attract applicants for this actual job that can perform these actual duties over just anyone that was looking at the job and saw the personality traits and wanted to apply that might not be qualified for this job. If I were consulting with an organization that was dealing with an increase in overproductive work behaviors, I would first start by looking at why are these happening and where are they coming from. Because even without data or doing some research on why they might be happening, there are several common issues you can just go directly to figure out why it's happening. Another major constraint would be the lack of resources. So this could look like outdated technology, broken processes, or insufficient trainings. When employees do not complete trainings or they are having trouble doing their work due to technology issues, this leads them to feel discouraged and not want to work hard. The company should be resolving these issues by fixing and updating any technology issues, improving workflow processes, and offering more trainings and support. That way the employees actually know what they should be doing. Another problem could be having unrealistic demands. So if a employee feels overworked or overloaded and undersupported, they may begin to reduce the quality of work and decrease the amount of hours they work as a coping mechanism. If this is the problem, the organization should reevaluate staffing levels and making sure that employees feel supported throughout their day and throughout their week, and they should feel comfortable in order to go to their managers and discuss any problems that they may. In today's world, most employees value flexibility and a good work-life balance. So I would highly suggest having a flexible work environment, getting rid of any strict schedules, strict attendance policies, any strict rules that would decrease someone's want to work at this specific company. Strict policies could increase stress and employees less likely to perform to the best of their ability. Some solutions I would suggest are to conduct employee surveys, interviews, focus groups, anything to determine and help create a better work-life balance and have more the employees want to do their job to the best of their ability. I would clarify career expectations, and I would try to implement managers to have a better relationship with their employees, so that way the employee feels welcome and want to work to the best of their ability.